Good morning, everybody. It's time for another morning Bible study. I'm your host, Logan McCulley, and today we're getting into Ruth 3. We left off with Ruth being told by Naomi to stay in the field of Boaz, and then she stayed there for 2 months collecting barley and wheat, and then that's where we left it off. Right now we're resuming the story of Ruth in Ruth 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you?" All right. Okay. What are we saying? Are we saying, "Hey, Ruth, what am I to do?" No. What she's saying is, Naomi is saying, Naomi the mother-in-law is saying, "Ruth, I am still worried about you. I'm still worried about your well-being." Let's read it again. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you?" All right. So how do we take care of you, Ruth? Now, Boaz, and it kind of sounds like Naomi is coming a little bit out of her shell. She's not as bitter. She's talking to Ruth now, because remember, she wasn't talking to Ruth. What are we going to do? This is what she says. "Now, Boaz, whose young women you were with, is he not our relative? In fact, he is winnowing barley tonight in the threshing floor." So Naomi's putting two and two together. Hey, so you've got this dude that's well off, that takes care of himself, takes care of his people. Tonight, the dude that you've been, harvesting or gleaning from, he's going to be out there threshing tonight. And threshing's going to take all night. They do it in the late evening because, and this is what, I was looking at, they do it in the late evening because you have like an easterly wind coming off the Mediterranean. You have to have that wind because, you throw the grain up in the air, and then the chaff, the stuff on the outside of the grain blows away. Or if the wind's strong enough, blows away, and then the grain hits the ground. So like you literally just have a pile of grain that has the stuff on it. You throw it up in the air, the bad stuff flies away, the good stuff hits the ground. The downside of this is because he's on the threshing floor, and it's literally just like a hard surface floor, he's going to stay there all night because you have to have it open to the wind. So he's going to stay there all night protecting his grain from looters. That's honestly what he's going to be doing. So Naomi's saying to Ruth, "You have been working for Boaz, gleaning from Boaz, who is one of our close relatives, and he tonight is going to be out there doing that all night. Don't you think you ought to make a move?" That's what I'm feeling. Naomi continues saying, "Therefore wash yourself and anoint yourself, put on your best garment and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking." So, I'm going to read MacArthur's version of this. Naomi instructed Ruth to put on her best appearance and to propose marriage to Boaz. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish that. And 4, it said, "Then it shall be, when he lies down, that you shall notice a place where he lies, and you shall go in and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what you should do." And you're like, huh. So this was mentioned in the setup of Ruth. Ruth is going to lie down with Boaz. But read what the Bible says. She's lying down on his feet, which is a custom to propose marriage. All right. So Naomi instructed Ruth to 1, put on her best appearance, and 2, to propose marriage to Boaz. By utilizing an ancient Near Eastern custom, since Boaz was a generation older than Ruth, this overture would indicate Ruth's desire to marry Boaz, which the older gracious Boaz would not have initiated with a younger woman. So, number 1, she's saying, get dolled up. Put your best foot forward. Right? 2, go propose it yourself. Go put yourself in the low place. Go do what you're supposed to do to put your foot out there. Because Boaz isn't going to do that. He's not that kind of guy. He is already established. He's not going to come for you. Even if he should or wants to, that's just not his role or place. But, as we're going to see, some things happen. So what did Ruth say to Naomi? Naomi's saying, "Hey, put your best foot out there. I'm worried about you. Go, Boaz is out on the threshing floor." What does Ruth say to that? "And she said to her, 'All that you say to me, I will do.'" Ruth's got it, man. Ruth is got it. She's faithful. "So she went down to the threshing floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law instructed her. And after Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was cheerful, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain, and she came softly, uncovered his feet, and laid down." All right, let's break down he was cheerful, okay? So what do we say? So she's first of all said, I'm going to do everything you said, Naomi. Then she went down to the threshing floor and did according to her mother-in-law instructed. After Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was cheerful. His heart was cheerful. Okay, why would he be cheerful at this point in time? So where did we come from? Naomi, Elimelech, his two sons, Ruth and Oprah, Ruth and Oprah weren't there, but Elimelech and his family left Judea Bethlehem because of the famine. All right. So now it's been 10 years from the famine. They've experienced famine for 10 years, and now they've got this great harvest. Why would he be cheerful? Because he has food. He has food finally after 10 years of dealing with this famine crap. He just did all this threshing. He's happy to work all night because he has food. It's a big deal. But what does MacArthur say? Using the same language of 3:1, the security in being well is that the heart was cheerful. He's got security and he's being well. Boaz is described as having a sense of well-being, which is most readily explained by the full harvest in contrast to the previous years of famine. So that's why he's being cheerful. And then she lays down on his feet, nice and soft, kind of sneaky light, right down. In verse 8, now it happened at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself, and there was a woman lying at his feet. And he said, who are you? So she answered, I am Ruth, your maidservant. Take your maidservant under your wing, for you are a close relative. Well done, Ruth. Well done. She kind of just slipped that right in there, didn't she? Ruth righteously appealed to Boaz using language of Boaz's earlier prayer to marry her according to the Levirate custom from Deuteronomy. So what does Boaz say? So let's put our position there. He's worked all day. It's hot outside. You're just sitting there watching the grain, taking a nap, and you wake up and there's something on your feet. I imagine, because, at night it gets a little colder. Your feet are nice and warm. What's going on? There's a woman there. She says, hey, I'm Ruth. You know me. Remember me? I am Ruth. Take your maidservant under your wing, for you are a close relative. You know the law. You fit the picture. You fit the bill. Make it happen. Then he said, blessed are you of the Lord, my daughter, for you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning, in that you did not go after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you request, for all the people of my town know that you are a virtuous woman. Now it is true that I am a close relative. However, there is a relative closer than I. Stay this night, and in the morning it shall be that if he will perform the duty of a close relative for you, good, let him do it. But if he does not want to perform the duty for you, then I will perform the duty for you, as the Lord lives. Lie down until morning. End quotation. All right. So, I'm Ruth. Hey, Boaz, take me under your wing. Let's make this happen. You're a close relative. I'm your maidservant. Come on. And Boaz, and I just imagine getting woken up in the middle of the night. It's tough. I'm confused. It's late. I'm sleepy. All right. This is what he says. Blessed are you of the Lord, my daughter, for you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning, in that you did not go after young men, whether they were poor or rich. You did not go after I just imagine that. So hey, thank you so much for not going after the younger men. She showed more kindness at the end than the beginning. Ruth's loyalty to Naomi, the Lord, and even Boaz is commended by Boaz. That loyalty, the faithfulness of Ruth. And he said, thank you for not going after young men. Ruth demonstrated moral excellence in that, 1, she did not engage in immorality. It's a big deal. 2, she did not remarry outside of the family. Because again, think about that those customs were the Israelites' customs, not her customs. But she still abided by all of them. What was the third thing? In 3, she had appealed for a Levirate redemption to an older godly man. And he goes on and says, and now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you request, for you are a virtuous woman. virtuous woman. In all respects, Ruth personifies excellence. This same language has been used of Boaz, a man of great wealth, a man of great valor, a man of great virtue, thus making them the perfectly matched couple for an exemplary marriage. Okay, so great virtue Ruth, great virtue Boaz. Let's bring it together. Now, it is true that I am a close relative. However, there is a closer than I. So bad downside to the big virtue, to the big valor. Boaz is saying, hey, buddy, so this is awesome. You're great. But there is someone that actually fits the bill better than I, and I have to make you aware of that. Boaz righteously deferred to someone who was near in a relationship to Elimelech. The near relative may have been Boaz's older brother. And then, being Boaz's older brother, or Boaz may have been his cousin. The fact that the neighbor woman said there is a son born to Naomi, and that's going to come later in the chapter, at Obed's birth, would suggest that the brother or cousin relationship to Elimelech. So he says, hey, you got to check with this dude, okay? Because there's rules. We got to follow the rules, right? But then he goes on to say, stay this night, and in the morning it shall be that if he will perform the duty of a close relative for you, good. Let him. But if he does not want to perform the duty for you, then I will perform the duty for you as the Lord lives. Exclamation point. I didn't put that inflection in there, but he said, I will perform the duty for you, then if, happy, basically, okay? Lie down until morning. Don't go nowhere. Hang out. So she lay at his feet until morning, and she arose before one could recognize another. Then he said, do not let it be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. Okay, you weren't supposed to be here. This wasn't supposed to happen. Don't let it be known that you were here. And it's interesting that they say they got up before they could see each other. You know, that's like 4 a.m, man. Like, that paints such a clear picture of what's going on. And okay, so MacArthur makes it a point to say, according to the text, no immorality occurred. Boaz even insisted on no appearance of evil because he didn't want anyone to know that she was here. Like, hey, look. Because that's the thing. Because sometimes perception is key, right? So, like, you don't want to be perceived of doing something wrong. Because here's the thing. Perception's, not reality, but it's darn close. It's not real reality, but it is darn close. What people think matters. You don't want to dirty your testimony. You don't want to dirty your witness. That does matter. I used to not care. But then you go through life and you're like, well, hey, your reputation matters. What people think matter. Even if it's not true, it does matter. So, that's what he's saying. Hey, you were here. Just go ahead and get on. Don't play with it. So in 15, he goes and says, and also, he said, bring the shawl that is on you and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 ephahs of barley and laid it on her. Then she went into the city. Now, I went and looked at 6 ephahs. How much barley is he now giving her as well? Like, why are we, like, she's already been done the gleaning. She's already been gleaning for 2 months, roughly. 6 ephahs. The Hebrew text gives no standard of measurement for this ephah. It has been inserted by the translators only as a possibility. However, 6 ephahs would weigh about 200 pounds, which is far too much for Ruth to carry home in her shawl. Therefore, deemed most reasonable is 6 sehas, which is 60 to 80 pounds, which would have been twice the amount Ruth had previously gleaned. So we doubled up. Well, really, we tripled the grain that she had, because she had 1, and we gave her 2 more portions. Just to send her on her way. So Ruth, woke up early before the daylight. She did what her mother-in-law said. She stayed at his feet. She had that conversation. Boaz took it very well and took an oath and said, what did he say? By the Lord, as the Lord lives, I will do this. All right. And I was looking at that. As the Lord lives, this is the most solemn binding oath an Israelite could vow, is what MacArthur says. As the Lord lives. We're not supposed to swear. I don't know if we're supposed to vow. But that's what he did. He said, hey, look, I will be doing this no matter what. I got you, Ruth. So in 16, when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, is that you, my daughter? Then she told her that Then she told her all that the man had done for her. And she said, "These 6 ephahs of barley he gave me, for he said to me, 'Do not go empty-handed to your mother-in-law.' Then she said, 'Sit still, my daughter, until you know how the matter will turn out, for the man will not rest until he has concluded the matter this day.'" All right, so let's talk about how smart Naomi is here. She says, so Ruth came back. "Hey, mother-in-law, what's up? I brought back all this barley. Everything went pretty good. What's up?" She goes, hey, don't go anywhere, because what's going to happen is you have set in motion something crazy. You don't need to go around, don't need to talk to anybody, don't need to do anything. You need to let this play out and see what comes of it. So she says legitimately, "Sit still, my daughter, until you know how the matter will turn out, for the man will not rest until he has concluded this day." I see that as like, you started something, you put something in motion. Let it run. Let it go. Let it be what it's going to be. Right? However, MacArthur puts in here, Naomi knew that Boaz was a man of integrity and would fulfill his promise with a sense of urgency. They needed to wait on the Lord to work through Boaz. Sometimes you just got to wait. Sometimes you just got to wait. And see, you can't rush it. You can't make it happen. You can't force it to be there. Just got to wait. And I think that's what Naomi was able to see. For the first time, I think this is one of the things that she did really well. Well, I guess she did a lot of things well. She sent Ruth to Boaz's field. Or maybe Ruth just found... No, she didn't send Boaz to the field. She did recognize who Boaz was, and she sent her to the threshing floor. This is the last thing. She said, "Hey, sit still, sit still." Now, that's the end of Ruth 3. We only have one more Ruth to go through, and it seems like it's going to be pretty intense. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens and where we go from here. But that's it, guys. I'm going to pray for you, and I'm going to pray for me. And we'll conclude this morning Bible study. Lord, I come to you this morning in prayer to bless the word we received. Make it stick to our brains. Make it stick to our hearts. Help us share it in everything that we do. Help us be good testaments and witnesses, that we not dirty our reputation. Lord, thank you so much for everything you've done for us and that you provide for us. Bless those that are hearing this. Bless me. Protect Jennifer. Protect little baby Samuel and Levi. In your name I pray. Amen. That's it. I will see you next time. I've been your host, Logan McCulley, and this is the Morning Bible Study. I'm out.